You know, it's crap like this that makes me realize why people with hearing loss think that my profession is a joke. Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 165, and today I want to kind of vent a little bit about a case that I had this past week inside of my clinic. But before I get into it, do me a huge favor, click that like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button with notification bell so you get notified every single time I publish a new video. With that out of the way, greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened this past week. So inside of my clinic, I often get new patients who come in who've either gone through treatment in a different clinic or who are in the middle of a hearing aid trial from a different clinic. Now, I have posted videos before about how much I hate hearing aid trials, specifically hearing aid trials that are done with first fit settings where the patient is not actually set up optimally with these particular devices. They're just, they slap a hearing aid into their ear, they auto program it, say, does that sound better? Go test it out in the real world, come back, let me know if you want to buy them for $6,000 or $7,000, right, when they come back. So anyway, this particular individual who came in to my clinic had a consultation, and basically the whole purpose of this consultation was to get information because this individual had gone through a hearing aid trial with a pair of Oticon More hearing aids, and they were currently on a trial with some Phonak Lumity hearing aids. And basically, the way that they explained it to me is that the clinic that they had gone to get their hearing tested and to get treatment didn't really want to spend a whole lot of time with them. He basically was just told, okay, here's the hearing aids, here's how you put them in your ears, I've got them programmed for you, go and test them out, come back, let me know what you think. So that's what he did with the Oticon Mores. He was like, I guess they're kind of giving me benefit, so he ended up going back and said, well, they're okay, but are there any other hearing aids that are any better? So they ended up fitting him with a pair of Phonak Lumity hearing aids. He went home with those, and he's been having a horrible experience. Went back, reported all this to them, they made an adjustment and said, go try that again and come back and let me know. Now, the other thing that was going on with this particular individual is that he wanted to use his insurance. So the insurance that this individual had was Amplifone. You've heard me talk about Amplifone before. I used to be an Amplifone provider where, different insurance companies contract with this third-party manager that will take charge of all of the hearing aid benefits for that insurance plan. And so basically, this individual had a really good discount on hearing aids through this particular insurance program, and so he really wanted to go to this particular provider. But the problem is that he was not getting any benefit from these hearing aids. And so I actually want to take you through what I identified during this particular consultation to see if we could figure out exactly why he wasn't getting good benefit. So let me go ahead and pull up his audiogram here. All right, so when we're looking at this audiogram, we can see that he had a mild sloping down to a moderate to severe level of hearing loss in the high frequencies. Now, when you have a hearing loss like this, typically it means that you have difficulty with clarity of speech. It typically means that you would struggle in a background noise situation and then also struggle with hearing and understanding soft talkers. But really, this hearing loss should be a slam dunk, super easy to treat for basically any audiologist. Even if you are a graduate student audiologist, you get a hearing loss like this and it's like, oh my gosh, I can totally treat this hearing loss and treat it extremely effectively, and sometimes treat it effectively very quickly. But you have to do the right things. But before we get into actually what transpired with this individual, let's go in to look and see what his word recognition scores and speech reception thresholds were. All right, so when we look at the word recognition scores, we can see that he scored a 96% accuracy in the right ear and 88% accuracy in the left ear, which means that he definitely has the ability to clearly understand speech as long as it's being amplified appropriately to his hearing loss prescription, which we'll get into here in a minute. The other thing that we should pay attention to here are the SRT scores, so speech reception thresholds. This is the softest level of speech that someone can barely understand, and he can understand speech down at 45 decibels, which is significantly elevated from someone with quote-unquote normal hearing. You'll typically see these numbers down at around 5 or 10 decibels. And every time you have to increase the volume by 10, you are doubling the perceived volume. So if you go from a 10 to a 20, you're doubling the volume. You go from 20 to 30, you're doubling the doubling. You go from 30 to 40, you're doubling the doubling of the doubling, and then you have to go up another 5 decibels, which would tell us that he definitely needs a lot of compression to make sure that these soft level sounds are amplified up into his audible range. And again, we can verify this with real ear measurement, which I'll get into here in a minute as well. But before I do, I want to go into his speech in noise scores using the Quicksyn testing. Okay, so here's his Quicksyn test. Green is good, gray is bad. Green means he heard it, gray means that he missed it. When we're scoring him on this, it's on a scale between 0 and 26. Lower the score, the better. He had scored a 1 on this particular scale, which means that if he goes into a background noise situation with hearing aids that are programmed well for his hearing loss and meeting his hearing loss prescription, he should not have very much difficulty in a background noise situation, because he technically only needs 1 decibel separation of the speech from the noise so he can hear the person that he's talking to. So basically, this audiogram, this retesting that we put him through, proves that this person should have a phenomenal experience with hearing aids, no questions asked. The problem is, when he's going in for these trial fittings, they're not actually following comprehensive best practices. They're not doing any kind of verification or validation with these hearing aids when they're setting him up with it. Because basically they're like, yeah, let's just slap the hearing aids in your ears. I've only got, 10 minutes with you, so let's go, let's get out. And he's there asking questions, and they're like, well, we just don't have time to answer those, because you know what? We only get 15 minutes with you. After all, they are in network with his insurance, so the insurance really is the one who's dictating his care, because insurance, they're going to pay a certain amount to that provider regardless of whether or not they love their treatment or whether they just think that the treatment's okay. And the patient typically will be like, well, because I'm not paying a whole lot of money because my insurance is covering it, I guess this is just the amount of benefit that I'll have to accept. Well, fortunately, this individual did not accept that level of care, at least as of right now, and so ended up finding some YouTube videos that we had talked about all of these different things, and he's like, well, maybe if I go see Dr. Cliff, I can get some of these questions answered. So we were happy to answer them. And so went through, explained all of this. He had never been explained any of this stuff. Now, to be fair, sometimes people are explained things, but they just don't remember it. But this individual, highly intelligent individual, very, attention to detail, understood the stuff that I was talking about when I explained it to him, been watching a lot of videos. I highly doubt that any of this stuff was reviewed with him at his appointment, but easy for me to say. Just so you know, this was at an ENT clinic, seeing an audiologist who worked at an ENT clinic, and I do sympathize a little bit with the ENT audiologists because they are not given a lot of time to work with their patients. But if that's the case, then don't work with hearing aids. Send them to some place that's actually going to spend time with them, especially if they want a lot of questions answered, if they're a type of person who wants to understand what's going on with their hearing treatment. Because it's not only about best practices, it's also about person-centered care, which means that we're explaining to patients what we're doing and why we're doing it, and it's a joint decision-making model and all of that. So, boy, I'm really getting going here. What I wanted to do next was actually do a real ear measurement on this individual to see if his hearing aids were programmed properly to his hearing loss prescription. Now, before I did that, though, I tapped into the Phonak target programming software to see how his hearing aids were set up. And basically what I could see here is that these hearing aids were set to first fit settings. When he went back in and complained about things sounding too sharp and tinny and stuff like that, all they did was lower the high frequencies, about 2.3 kilohertz and above. They just lowered them down, taking away audibility for the individual. And even though he was complaining about not being able to understand speech in a car, even though he had explained that he's not able to hear his soft-spoken daughter, they made no adjustment to compression, they made no adjustment to the speech in car, background noise reduction settings, or anything like that. Everything was left at default on this individual, which again is another reason why I think that hearing aid trials are like the worst thing ever if you don't follow best practices in the trial. And I understand here that they're just trying to save time and cut corners because they're not getting reimbursed a lot from the insurance, but that's what you sign up for when you want to use your insurance. You're just going to have to accept the fact that you're probably going to get some lesser quality care in most cases. There are some providers who will take you as a patient at a loss because you're using your insurance in order to, and subsidize that with other patients who are private pay patients. Because let's be honest, if you're a 100% insurance clinic and you actually want to make money, you have to get the patients in and out. There's no other way to do it other than lowering the time and quality or losing money and making it up on a private pay patient. That being said, I don't want to beat that. I've talked about insurance before on this channel ad nauseum, so you can go watch those videos if you want to. But for this particular case, I'm trying to explain why this individual is not having success. And so I bring up the average level speech. When I'm doing real ear measurement, I'm basically doing a measure inside of someone's ear canals to see if the amount of amplification the hearing aids are giving them are meeting their prescriptive target. So when we look at real ear measurement here, we can see that the pink hash mark line is the prescription for the individual's hearing loss in the left ear and in the right ear. The solid pink line is the amount of amplification the individual is receiving from the hearing aids as it is measured inside of their ear canals. Ideally, what we would like to see here is the solid line overlapping with the hash mark line as closely as possible. And what you can tell from this is that he is basically not meeting his prescription at all, except for maybe a few different frequencies. He's missing all of his high frequencies over here, and he's missing a ton of his mid and low frequencies over here. So shocker, why you're not doing well with your hearing aids. Now, some of you people who understand acoustics and psychoacoustics a little bit out there, you'll understand that when someone says that something sounds tinny or sharp, it typically means that they're getting too much high frequency. But what it really means is that you're not getting the proper ratio of low, mid, and high frequencies. And let's say it this way. If you go and turn your radio on in your car and you put it to all treble with no bass, it is going to sound like garbage. But if you blend the bass, the mids, and the treble together, even if you left the treble all the way up, it's going to sound much better to you. All right, it's going to sound rich and full and amazing. So basically here, the provider was like, oh, well, you're telling me things sound tinny, let me just lower the high frequencies for you. Well, that's great, but now the person can't understand speech very well. So not really a worthwhile trade-off. What would be more ideal is that you would match them to their hearing loss prescription, bring them down equally across all the different frequencies, and then allow them time to adapt into that amplification. And then over the course of time, you gradually increase the amplification levels to as close to their hearing loss prescription as they can tolerate. And that is what's going to result in them hearing and understanding speech better, understanding speech and background noise better, hearing soft talkers better, so on and so forth. Now, to get to the individual's daughter, from a soft speech perspective, I'm like, well, we should probably check compression of the hearing aids, because that compression, in case you're unaware, I do have a video on this, of course, as well. But compression is when you take soft sounds and you give them more amplification to compress them up into your comfortably audible window. And so we can measure compression as well, and that's what we have with these turquoise hash mark curves. This is the prescription for soft level speech. And the solid turquoise line is the amplification given to soft level speech. Again, ideally we would want to see the solid line overlap with the hash mark line as closely as possible. And you can see here that it is even worse than average level speech was. So shocker, this individual not doing well hearing and understanding his daughter. Raise your hand if you're surprised by this. I mean, this is basic audiology 101. This individual, in my opinion, is basically being taken advantage of because the provider doesn't want to do the right thing, or their clinic is not allowing them to do the right thing. And if you ask me, either way, that's unacceptable, because this person, if they didn't come to us, would have no freaking clue if they're getting the right amount of benefit with hearing aids, and they thought it was the hearing aid that was the problem. So they went from an Oticon More, fantastic hearing aid, to a Phonak Lumity, fantastic hearing aid, had a crappy experience with both of them, and is still wondering, like, is this just the maximum amount of benefit that I can get? And to add insult to injury, this particular individual will probably still continue to struggle for a long time, because they are more adamant about using their hearing aid insurance benefits than they are about actually going to a clinic that is going to be doing things the right way. Now, yes, you will have to spend more money to go to a clinic that does things the right way. That's just kind of how the world works. If you want something done right, chances are it's going to cost you more money than something done as quickly as humanly possible without answering any of your questions and just trying to get you out of their clinic because they got a bunch of other people to treat, you know? It's unfortunate. And so I'm not surprised that this individual is super upset with the way that their hearing treatment is going. There's probably not a whole lot that can be done, because if you want hearing loss treated at an optimal level, you just have to go to someone who's willing to take the time to do it the right way, follow comprehensive best practices, use a person-centered care approach in doing so, and it's probably going to, again, cost you more money to do that, because there's not a lot of insurances out there that will cover the cost of doing everything exactly the right way. Now, I have some members inside of the Hearing Up Network who accept, managed care benefits, who accept insurance, and that's totally cool, because you know what they do? They still do things the right way, and when they do things the right way, they get optimal outcomes, even if it costs them money, if they lose money on that particular individual, because they make it up for other individuals who pay the market rate to receive high quality of care. But in my opinion, that's not fair to the patients who are paying a higher dollar amount to get the same level of care. It's just a really backwards, messed up system. And, this individual was thinking that either hearing aids were not working or that my profession is a ripoff and all of us just don't know what the heck that we're doing. And it just kind of sucks, because you know what? The vast majority of care out there is like that, especially if you're going to use your insurance. And I know I'm going to catch some crap from hearing care professionals out there who take insurance, and that's fine. I used to take insurance. I used to take managed care until the point where it was losing me money to accept those, and I had to make a decision of, am I going to cut the quality of care, or am I going to get rid of those insurance contracts? So I wish this individual the best. I hope that this individual comes back to our clinic so we can treat their hearing loss the right way, because I'm telling you what, like 10 times out of 10, that hearing loss is treated perfectly and they have no difficulties from a hearing perspective afterwards. And I know that sounds extreme for me to say, but I've treated enough hearing losses at this point that are exactly like that to know that the outcome is extremely predictable and it is a high-level outcome. So that is pretty much all I wanted to share today. That's the danger that exists out there. I mean, you're going to have to run the risk of getting lower quality of care. I think people with hearing loss deserve to be treated at a high level. And if there were managed care programs out there, and if there was insurance programs out there that reimbursed what they should reimburse to allow their members to get a high quality of care, I would be all on board with it. I just can't do it from a ethical and moral standpoint. So that is all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, and I will see you next week.